2019. The KrakCast is back. Happy New Year, everybody. Guys, where were you at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve?
On my reclining.
I was illegally on a roof shooting off fireworks, scaring little dogs.
Oh, you're one of them, huh?
Yeah. Look at this. I've got all of my fingers and toes.
What do you mean illegally on a roof?
It's technically access to that roof is limited only to people who are fixing something on the roof.
Oh, God, what an asshole. Yeah. Josh?
I was drinking sugary champagne with Cyrillic script, propping up the bar in Doncaster around the corner.
One of those 12-zwaddy Bulgarian wines or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I was slipping between TVP, Tavawan, and Polsat myself. So Mike had the most exciting New Year's Eve than...
Yeah, I was pretty smart about it because, one of the main reasons I have all my fingers and toes is
You're obsessed with the fingers. You're obsessed with the fingers.
Because I've seen actual people have lost them from fireworks, so yeah. It's like I let my wife take care of actually setting off the fireworks. I actually just stood back and watched the show.
Oh, okay.
I like the silence there for a second.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Anyway.
But I just want to ask, so you're watching all the TV shows, so you basically one of those people that are like pumping up the stats, because as far as they're concerned, they could like up one for each one of those TV shows. Like Tefaupe was saying, like, oh, everybody was watching the government-sponsored one in Zakopane, 8 million viewers. It's like, well, there's nothing else on. Of course you're going to get
There's nothing else on. I like those shows, though. I have to say, I like them. They're kind of cheesy, staged, choreographed dance routines and your cliched songs. Everybody doing covers of ABBA and disco hits and whatnot. I don't mind it. I thought it was fun.
I was watching the popular HBO drama Blinded by the Lights. It's phenomenal.
Oh, he's trying to get a plug in for a possible future show there, Dave.
I want to review it. It's awesome.
Because our review went so well.
Apologies.
After the disaster of 1983.
Why was it a disaster?
You know what? Okay, since you mentioned it, I'll chase this for just a second. Out of the four of us, I'm the only one who said that it sucks. And almost everybody who contacts us on the Facebook page and through my very unscientific method of just talking to people, friends and whatnot, everybody agrees with me.
Well, both of them are wrong.
You guys are completely wrong. 1983 was terrible. But 2019 is going to be a good year. See what I did there? 2019 is going to be a good year. Let's start our first news off with, this goes into the category of we told you before it was in the news. This is another example of how the KrakCast is on the cutting edge of what people are talking about here. A few months ago, they started this thing where on certain days when the smog is really bad, which is a lot of days, that the night before, they tell you that the following day you can ride the trams for free if you have a car registration or something. Mike, is that basically what it is?
Yeah, you don't actually even need car registration paperwork with you anymore. You can just, all the trams, all the public transportation.
You can't pay if you want to. All the machines
are turned off. You just go.
So you just get on the tram. Okay, it's free.
Yeah.
Okay. It used to be like that. You had to have car registration.
Before,
and then they changed it to just get on the tram or whatever. Well, the whole idea, of course, is to get people out of their cars and onto trams to fight the smog, to improve the air quality. Well, we have definitive proof now that this is complete fiction. A study done by the city counted the number of cars passing through various traffic points around Krakow on these days when the free tram and bus thing was in effect, and they counted no drop in car traffic, and in fact, on some days there was an increase in car traffic. So can we stop pretending that cars are the problem here, or are we still going to go through this because it makes people feel good to think they're doing something about the problem?
On an axe wound type of situation. We warned you that it would have no effect, but you didn't listen.
Yeah, it has no effect.
People aren't going to change their habits just, tomorrow I can take the bus for free. Well, I've got my car here. I take it every day. I know how long it takes. If public transportation was free all the time, then maybe some people would alter their habits for commuting. But just one day a week, every once in a while, no.
The optics, Mike. It's about the optics.
People take their cars.
Always about the optics.
People take their cars because they have to take their kids to school, or because it's because the distance is involved, or simply because they want to drive their car. And this gimmicky thing about you can have a free tram ride tomorrow. This doesn't change minds, I think.
I agree.
I also agree.
Well, we're missing some chemistry here today in the KrakCast.
Wholeheartedly agree. Endorse that.
I can throw in something. I guess the only way the city could actually deal with this problem if they want to cut back on car traffic is to do something they do in London, a congestion charge. I don't like that idea, but it is one way. People, don't give people something free. Make it cost more to do something if you don't want it to do it. So yeah, if the people want to drive into the city, they have to pay 5 or 10 zlotys a day
just to enter a certain part of the city.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you could offer like free trams and buses to everyone on the revenue that you gain from...
Trams and buses are already full, people. Stay in your cars. Dave needs to get to work, and he likes to sit down.
The trams are at capacity. They keep talking about they want more people. But right now, one tram, gets blocked, gets stuck somewhere, and the whole network falls apart because they're at capacity. There's no more can get on the system right now.
Well, anyway, it looks like it's just a bunch of feel-good puff, I guess, the whole free tram and bus thing. But I don't think it's going to disappear anytime soon because, again, it gives the people in City Hall a chance to act like they're doing something about the problem. I don't know. We'll see. But the smog season will be gone soon enough, so the whole issue will disappear. When's smog season done? February?
Depends on the weather, John.
Well, no, really, because we stopped talking about it by the end of February, I think, right?
Well, if it stays cold till the end of April and, people are burning their heat and rubbish in their heating the whole time, it's going to be smoggy.
Well,
moving on, but staying on the subject of cars, new rules came into effect here on Saturday the 5th, a couple of days ago in Kazimierz. Interesting experiment, and it is an experiment for the moment. If it works, they're going to make it permanent. But in the part of Kazimierz, roughly the boundaries are Krakowska to the south, Dietla to the west, Plac Szeroka to the north, and basically, I think, Józefa to the east. So that's square. So it's a very, very small, very, very small piece of the whole city. New traffic rules. You can't drive in there unless you have an electric car, which, according to official stats, about 900 people in Krakow have an electric car. 900.
But there's all the Melex carts.
There are some exceptions to this rule, though. If you're a resident, you can drive through there, of course. If you're associated with a business and you're making deliveries, you can drive through there. Taxis can drive through there.
If you're a director of Wisła Krakow Football Club, no doubt you are.
Well, you probably actually, you might be. You probably have a chauffeur-driven Rolls Royce if you're the. Different subject, different episode.
I mean, why would you be in Kazimierz to begin with?
It's one of those things. I don't really think there's any need for this particular rule, but it'll actually, as a traffic rule, I'm actually for this because if you don't have any business in the old town of Kazimierz, you're just clogging up its nice old streets and getting in my way while I walk to the pub. So, go around it, all right?
Can you do this, Mike? Wasn't there a legal confrontation over this?
On emissions.
I'm a taxpayer. Those taxes are used to build public roads. Why don't I have a right to drive on those public roads?
Well, actually, you're getting back to exactly what was happening there a year or so earlier. They blocked off access to those roads for only residents, and it was taken to the courts, and the courts basically said, well, you can't do this because these are public roads. So the city said, okay, so instead of, just blocking off these roads, we'll say it's a low-emission zone starting with the beginning of the new year, and, different laws, but the same outcome. So
so it's actually nothing to do with pollution. It's yet again a bit of optics, a bit of a spin. It's a gimmick in terms of climate change, but actually I think the rule is a sensible one for Kazimierz. It's just the type of area you don't want more people driving through it than you need.
Can't you say that about every part of the city? I mean,
because I don't live in every part of the city.
For example, where I live in my neighborhood, I would love to say, if you don't live here, you can't drive here. Everybody wants to say that. What's so special about Kazimierz that you can't drive there?
We have to figure out who lives there. I mean, who
It's not all of Kazimierz. It's, including Plac Novi. It's where all the bars and restaurants and the tourism and the people walking around, people on bike tours, John, Why do you need to drive through there? People take shortcuts through Volnica, through Plac Novi. They do pickups. They drop off for no reason when they could go around. We're not talking about long distances. Krakowska is, 3 minutes away? Max?
Yeah, maybe.
You're in Kazimierz on Krakowska.
One-way streets and whatnot. I don't know. I kind of...
Well, you can't get a taxi to the middle of the main square. You get off at Siena and you walk.
But the justification for this program is not alleviating traffic congestion.
Yes,
it's about air quality.
I agree with that. But if they'd have just been honest about it and said we want to do this because we don't want more traffic than is necessary in one of the most beautiful parts of a stunning city, then I would have been all for it.
How stupid is that somehow the dirty air is going to stop on Krakowska or Dietla on the other side of the street?
It's ridiculous.
And not cross over. It's ridiculous. Is this really going to have any impact on our air quality here, Mike?
No, it's not. It's not going to have any impact whatsoever.
Mike just explained it's all a little political shenanigan to keep cars out of Kaj.
I mean, it will improve the air quality right then and there, where you can open the window and there won't be cars driving by, because, air quality in the city differs depending on where you live, depending on the traffic in that area. So for people living right there, they won't have 20 cars going by. They'll have one, so the air quality will be better. But for the rest of us, no difference whatsoever.
Josh, you've been known to enjoy a nice cup of coffee outside on Platz Nova, would you like to see a dramatic reduction in the number of cars passing by?
Oh, absolutely. But, I mean, there has already been since, I don't know, the summer, really, there's a lot less cars going through there, which I guess is... I think they've also really tightened up who can park there. It's not just a question of you just turn up and buy a ticket from the machine. I think you can only even park there if you've got something... This is a lot less traffic, and it's a lot nicer as a consequence.
But if the goal is to reduce traffic congestion, why don't you just go full on and go for it and say, okay, this is a severely restricted zone, no taxis, only deliveries, like in the main square, only deliveries up until 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
10 in the morning, yeah.
I don't know. This is a thing that's not going to go away. More and more cars are going to be on the road.
I ran a bar on the main square. It was a pain in the arse, the traffic restrictions, but we got around it. It's not the end of the world getting your deliveries early in the morning. Everyone's in the same boat, and sometimes you just got to work those biceps and carry your shopping around from the corner of the planty.
One more thing on transport. When I saw this, I thought of you, Dave, because I know how much you love bicyclists.
Thanks, Sean. That's so sweet.
I know how much you love bicyclists.
I love watching them explode. Now, nothing against the actual bicycle. I just in overcrowded cities that don't have cycle infrastructure, I don't believe we should be encouraging mass cycling. I don't think it's a solution to anything.
Well, this is not about cycling per se, and this is a subject that's confronting local governments everywhere, not only in Poland but in lots of places.
The electric bike conundrum?
Electric bikes and we call them e-scooters.
Or scooters. Yeah.
The thing with your one foot kind of pushing you on the ground and one foot on the what do we call those in English? It's called hulajnoga in Polish.
Are they just called scooters?
Scooters? Okay.
Yeah.
Electric scooters that require no effort from the rider. And the reason they're becoming an issue is because this is a good example of technology kind of passing legal codes and laws meant to regulate this kind of people movement. These things can go pretty fast, 25 kilometers an hour, right? And the trouble is that people are using them in bike lanes. People are using them in places like the Planta, pedestrian zones. And through irresponsible use, the kind of stuff that drives Dave crazy, that people are weaving in and out of pedestrians and whatnot, and there are calls for some kind of regulation.
They're a menace. You can't hear them coming. It's very unnerving to be overtaken by one of these things at 25 k's when you're walking along, because unlike an engine or something that you prepare yourself for, they're practically silent.
They don't even have little bells like most bicyclists will have.
Right. As someone who spends a lot of time on a bike, especially the bike lane that goes up and down Mogilska, I see these people from time to time in the bike lane, and I have to say, I wouldn't mind seeing them kind of hit a bump and go flying sometimes. They're irritating, and I kind of err to bikers' rights.
Anything annoys you?
This in particular, because they're always right in the middle. They don't get to one side. It's too fast. These things are just too damn fast.
I was nearly hit by one a couple of weeks ago. All right, okay, I wasn't nearly hit. He knew what he was doing. He swerved around me, but it was unnerving. He was going really fast, and if he'd have hit me...
But what I don't understand, though, because they're saying there's the regulation and doesn't really cover them, but what about segways? It's basically the electric engine, one person, similar speed, maybe even a little bit faster, but they're riding around everywhere.
Are segways that fast?
Yeah, they can. I think they hit like 30 miles an hour or something.
What?
No chance.
30 kilometers an hour.
Even that sounds fast for...
No, they can be fast.
Yeah, I didn't.
Do you ever notice,
if you ride a Segway at that speed, you deserve whatever happens to you.
Yeah, right.
Weird the way Segways only really seem to be adopted en masse by shopping centre security guards, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems to be the only role in the whole world where it has a real need for a Segway.
I don't think those things filled the dream of the original designer. He probably saw everybody in cities using those everywhere. It didn't work out that way.
He's a very clever guy. He's invented a number of amazing inventions.
He possibly has an I Love Krakow
checking, I think, the top speed.
His name eludes me now, but he recently invented a water filter that doesn't require a water purifier that doesn't require a filter.
Well, this guy is busy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, while Mike is checking the top speed of Segways,
12.5 miles an hour. So yeah, about 20 k's.
12.5. That's a top speed. Okay,
that's flat out in an empty shopping centre with some nice tiles. I don't think you're even getting up to those speeds on the cobbles of the main square. No chance.
Now let's get our weekly dose of high-level political intrigue from Warsaw. This week it comes from the Central Bank, one of our favorite subjects here at the KrakCast. Representatives from Platforma Obywatelska, the civic platform, this is the main political opposition in Poland, calling for the dismissal of the head of Poland's central bank, a guy named Adam Glapiński. Not the kind of thing that makes headlines, but a really, really big deal, Mike.
Well, basically, PO is saying that he was involved or somehow connected to the chairman of the regulatory body, financial regulatory body. You might remember a few weeks ago we talked about how he got involved with a billionaire. There was some talk about some corruption, about, give us, a little bit of support here. We'll make sure your bank doesn't go under, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that this guy, who's the head of the regulatory council, was probably a friend or a protege or a student of Glebinski's. Glebinski might have been the one who actually...
Glebinski.
Yeah, whatever. Sorry, I don't have this in front of me right now.
Just one letter.
But it turns out that he probably recommended to Morawiecki that, this guy is all right, you can hire him for this role. PO is saying, well, in that case, he's probably responsible for this. Maybe we should get rid of him. But Dave, this is probably something that you don't really agree with.
No, I think it's a very controversial thing to do. I mean, he's been called as a witness in the investigation. Due process is taking place. It is not appropriate to set a precedent of just removing the independent head of the central bank. It's a bad idea, Josh. I mean...
Well, there's, of course, the British example from a few years, but I think one of the few kind of clearly impossible to criticise things of the Blair Brown government in the late 90s, early 2000s was giving the Bank of England kind of independence, control over monetary policy, aside, interest rates aside from the government. And you need to have the central bank to be independent from political forces, and it's just one of those areas where you don't want the government interfering.
It just seems that even if you have a legitimate problem with the guy, this is the kind of thing you handle through back channels, maybe. Because, a full frontal attack on the head of the central bank is the kind of thing that scares the shit out of the markets.
Yeah, I mean, Trump hates the head of the Federal Reserve, but even Trump on his rants on Twitter never goes as far as saying Jay Powell to be removed from his position, although that's one of those predictions that could easily bite me on the arse in a week or two.
Right. Mike, it seems that PO has a talent lately for just making the news for all the wrong reasons. They can't really connect with people through anything positive lately, it seems.
They basically they're grasping at straws right now. They're not doing so well when it comes to all the statistics, when it comes to who might want to vote for them. So they just want to make peace look as bad as possible. They don't care if they make Poland look bad. They don't care if the markets suffer. Oddly enough, though, this is something that peace used to do back in the day when PO was in charge. They would throw anything at PO to make PO look bad. It didn't matter if it made Poland look bad on the international scene.
And hasn't it been suggested heavily from the peace side of things that this is actually about his opposition, Glebinski's, to Poland joining the euro, which is if they came to power in the next election, then Civic Platform would have a governor of the central bank who is against one of their main policy points. So that's actually, I think, one of the little...
Interesting. Let's change gears completely now, something much lighter. This week we learned who the Polish Athlete of the Year for 2018 was. Athlete of the Year. Now,
who is this example of,
Athlete of the Year
strength and prowess?
Is, drum roll please, Bartosz Kurek.
Who?
Bartosz Kurek, a member of the Polish national men's volleyball team.
He was voted the best volleyball player, I believe, in the world, independent of Poland.
Poland this year repeated as world champions.
Yeah,
right?
It's a massive achievement. I don't want to take it away.
Very, very big deal. But I'll say it. I'll just say it. I don't think people in Poland understand that for most people outside of Poland, volleyball is not a thing. Volleyball's not a big deal.
He means Americans don't care about volleyball, okay?
Yeah, the Irish are such massive fans, right?
They're so busy watching baseball, the most scintillating game on earth.
Shut up. Gaelic football. Tell us about hurling. See, you start these fights.
Hurling is a terrific sport to watch.
You start these fights and you don't know where it can go.
Oh, yeah, because there's no way I could possibly defend the game of hurling. It's only 70 minutes long, John, and it's awesome. It's 30 men with sticks attacking each other with great skill.
How many tens of thousands of Irishmen pack the arenas to watch volleyball again? Remind me about how
nobody watches volleyball.
Exactly. Thank you, which was my point originally. Anyway, volleyball.
It's huge in Russia and Sweden.
It's huge in
Brazil.
6
countries randomly here. Brazil,
Lithuania,
Russia, Serbia.
These are big countries.
America is one of the perennial powers.
Isn't it like the fourth largest participation sport in the world or something? I remember back when we didn't know anything about volleyball. I was Googling things and we were trying to sound smart and then we didn't even know what a libero is.
I think you're going to agree with me. Just to be fair.
It's the guy who's not allowed...
no matter how much of a joke volleyball is, it's better than handball.
True. Yeah.
Anything's
Okay, let's just set a floor for how bad things can be.
Establish something. It's called Olympic handball, which you were talking about.
That sounds like a euphemism for something.
There's another game called handball, which is a version of squash played with your hand on old concrete court. It's actually quite a great game.
Oh, fives. I used to play that at
Anyway,
school.
Dave, do you think anyone else could have been maybe more deserving of this title than Bartosz Kurek?
The best handball player in the world is Irish, by the way. That's all I've said about that. No, listen, Bartek is, I crack on. I'm delighted for him. They had a great year. They achieved something unbelievable, a back-to-back World Championship. What I'm annoyed about with this list is how low down on it Lewandowski is. It's ridiculous.
Why do you think he should win everything? I don't get it.
It's just a fact that football is by a mile the hardest sport to reach the elite level in, and that Robert Lewandowski is one of the best football players in the world.
Yes, this is controversially true.
Okay, so why didn't he win then if it's that obvious?
Well, I'm not part of the voting, John. You have to take that up with the nationals.
Criticizing the fact that he wasn't voted in higher.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe there's just a general perception in Poland that Lewandowski's face is everywhere already anyway. So
people have enough of that goddamn Head and Shoulders commercial. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, that'll be it.
Enough. Yeah,
I think he's numbed them with his brilliance year in, year out.
Yeah, maybe. No, of course, football's a bigger game. Volleyball's, I don't know. Who else is in the mix even?
If you could randomly kick all of us out of an airplane on a different continent, one of us lands in Uganda, one of us lands in Outer Mongolia, one of us lands in
this better be good.
Canada, somewhere really hellish, and you ask the first 10 people you meet who Robert Lewandowski was, I guarantee you at least a few of them would know.
Entirely possible. I don't know about Uganda. You did say Uganda, right? I'm not
sure. They love football in Uganda.
I'm not sure about
in Africa,
that.
They love football now. Yeah,
but Bartosz Kurek, okay, not a household name. Probably not going to have a Head and
Certainly
Shoulders commercial.
Uganda.
No, but I don't know. Maybe it's good to mix it up. Lewandowski has won this before.
Once.
Surely. Once. All right, let's give somebody else a chance.
I didn't say he should have won it. I congratulated
are you
Kurek.
a fan of, what's your man, the ski jumper, Kamil Stoch?
Stoke, isn't it?
Stock, whatever. Are you a fan? Are you a fan of ski jumping?
No, I don't like watching ski jumping. It offers a very
insubstantial thrill.
Yeah, it's cool for the first time you ever see it, because you're like, whoa, they're really jumping quite far there.
It's impressive in that sense, but I watch it in the same way like a lot of people watch NASCAR. I'm waiting for something to go horribly wrong.
Yes. That's why Eddie the Eagle was so much fun, and the sport of ski jumping ain't much fun to watch.
I'm sorry, I only like sports if they have at least one of two things. One, the potential for horrible accidents. Two, cheerleaders. Scantily dressed women. And if they can combine those two...
This is a doctor speaking, by the way. Potential for horrible accidents. I don't know.
Follow the money,
I don't know, man. I don't know. Unfortunately, we have to close on a very serious note. Just as we did back in December before Christmas, we had this story about the tragedy of 12 Polish miners who died in an accident in the Czech Republic. This happened just a few days ago in the northern city of Koszalin. 5 teenage girls, were killed or died in an escape room. Now, the definitive version of what happened is yet to be established, and so... the facts might change in the next few days. We're just going on what we know at the moment, but it looks like an accident involving gas, either the gas network inside a building or maybe one of those portable space heaters with like a propane bottle, and a fire. Mike, can you fill in the details any more than that?
Yeah, the details haven't been so clear at the moment of this recording, but it seems that there was a space heater that had like one of those like butane propane tanks, and a fire started. A leak or something along those lines, and it blocked the exits from all these rooms. The girls didn't actually die from the fire itself, but they died from suffocation from carbon monoxide poisoning. One of the workers there, I think he's a 26-year-old man, he was the one who suffered from severe burns in his hospital right now. And this has basically started a discussion about how these escape rooms function. Do they fulfill all the legal obligations when it comes to fire and safety and hazard and things like that? And they've already started investigating these rooms all around the country. There's apparently about 1,000 of them, and several hundred have already been found to be not in line with building codes and fire codes.
It's horrific. I can't imagine. Now, I have to admit, I've never been to an escape room myself. Do these involve being actually locked in a room with not being able to get out?
I've been in one in Krakow. You get locked in with a few people and you solve a series of puzzles in the room. And you're eventually working your way towards finding the key to open the door. It's pretty simple.
Okay, so you are actually locked in.
You are actually locked in. But there's a guy on the one I was in. There's a guy in the camera offering clues. You're being monitored the whole time. The one I was in was like quite professional. They had 5 different rooms. So if there
were some kind of emergency, whatever, somebody's able to open the door immediately. If
we were able to. We got stuck at one point, and we were able to just say, "Can you please help us?" And he was like, "Well, try this and try that," and that continued throughout the time. So yeah, I never felt at risk or anything. There was no heaters in the room. Obviously, I don't know the details. It sounds like just an absolutely tragic case.
Awful.
And fire safety regulations, sometimes there's a bit of a lackadaisical attitude to it over here. I would say, I mean, these things are very important for a reason, We don't want to go back to the dark old days of fire being one of the main causes of human death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very big news. I saw this in a couple of British media outlets today as well, and I'm sure it's appeared all over Europe, maybe all over the world. Awful story. Well, unfortunately, we're going to finish on that down note. Thanks for listening to the first KrakCast news of 2019. Don't forget to give us a like and share with your friends. And we'll see you next time on the KrakCast.